It is fantasy football season, and trying to decide how to approach your draft, it can be a massive headache. In this series, I'm going draft slot by draft slot, talking over what you can expect to see from your draft position, what strategies you can use, which players you might want to take, and which players you might want to avoid. We'll touch on the sleepers available later on, and we'll even run through a super quick mock draft so you can see exactly how I would draft from each position. In this video, we're picking for 108, and these are some of the players you can expect to see in that range. Amon-Ra St. Brown. After the true elite wide receivers are off the board, Amon-Ra St. Brown represents easily the best of the rest. Over 3 seasons, Amon-Ra St. Brown has 3,588 receiving yards on 429 targets. That's the 6th most among wide receivers in that spell. He only trails Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, and Justin Jefferson. In 27 out of 52 career games, St. Brown has managed to score either a touchdown or 80 plus receiving yards. That gives managers an absolute fantastic floor for fantasy, but it also brings you a really high ceiling. AJ Brown. The past year, it was the tale of two halves for Brown, who scored 22.6 points per game in weeks 1 to 9, before just going off a cliff in the second half of the season, scoring only 12.3 points per game for the rest of the season. Part of this, it could be attributed to the fact that the Eagles' collapse in general wasn't an AJ Brown thing. It was a whole team thing. It seemed like they weren't on the same page across the board. Jalen Hurts was injured. It sounded like he had this bone bruise issue, which we never really got proper details about. But that's an injury known to hamper dual threat quarterbacks. AJ Brown might come with some risk, but if the Eagles can stay more consistent in 2024, having a player who can average over 22 points per game is a massive advantage in fantasy football, and it sounds like Kellen Moore, as offensive coordinator for the Eagles, plans on getting AJ Brown in motion far more often than he's ever been. And AJ Brown coming at you with a full head of steam, that's not something I want to get in the way of. Picking up 108, there's a couple of players that I can't bring myself to force into lineups here. Jahmyr Gibbs. The Lions, they continue to say that they plan on using a committee between David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs in 2024. It makes sense to do so. You look at their abilities, they mesh well together. Montgomery led the backfield last year in touches with 17.3 compared to Gibson's 15.8. He also led the pair with 4.0 evaded tackles per game compared to Gibbs's 3.5. Gibbs was a more explosive runner with a massive 9% big run rate. That dwarfed Montgomery's 3.8%. But still, the Lions preferred Montgomery around the goal line, which kept him very fantasy relevant, kept Gibbs out of the end zone. Gibbs deserves to go around the end of the first round or early in the second, but not quite this high in drafts. Jonathan Taylor. Taylor's ADP, it varies on different platforms, but on ESPN and Yahoo, you can expect to see him up this high, which it feels a bit steep for a player who's never strung together 2 consecutive top 20 weekly finishes in 2023. Taylor, he came back from injured reserve in week 5, but then he also missed time between weeks 13 to 15. Is this going to be the type of player that Jonathan Taylor is for the rest of his career? We saw him and Anthony Richardson on the field together for just 22 snaps last year. We've only seen 1 season out of Jonathan Taylor where he had 40 or more receptions, and it's unlikely that that's going to be something we see him surpass this year with a dual threat quarterback not wanting to check the ball down. We're going to use Fantasy Pros Draft Wizard to mock draft. It is insanely customizable. You can sync it to your leagues and automatically copy the settings in. Then it'll adjust the rankings for that. You can choose which expert rankings and insights you'd like to see, including mine, which are part of the expert consensus rankings of over 100 people from across the fantasy football industry. There's no waiting around for other people. Nobody taking 6 kickers in the mock draft. Instead, we can mock draft against the Wizard, get feedback from top experts on our drafts. Check out the link in the description below to start your own mock drafts right now. If you are finding our videos for the first time, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button down below. We are ever so close to 3,000 subscribers. Here we do Dynasty, we do Best Ball, we do Redraft, we do DFS. We get you cooking all year long. Picking from the 8 spot, we're going with a half PPR format for this one. 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex spot, 1 kicker, defense, and then 6 bench spots. At the 108, Amon-Ra St. Brown falls to us, and I'm absolutely fine taking him in this position. In the second round, we get a chance to add last year's RB3 and Kyron Williams. Really has potential to smash and build on that season. Sam Laporta as the tight end 2. Let's take him in the 3rd round. Maybe he can take another leap as well. Mike Evans, lock him in for another 1,000-yard season. In the 5th round, let's take CJ Stroud. see if he can build on last year and become more fantasy viable than he was. We'll stack him with Tank Dell. He seems to be fully recovered from his off-season injuries and the broken leg, which kept him out for a decent chunk of a stretch run last year. We need a running back, though. We could get lost here. Devin Singletary's going to see huge volume. That works nicely paired with Kyron Williams. We'll put Tajay Spears on there to really just shoot for a bit of upside in Tennessee. And then when it comes back around, let's not get left behind at wide receiver. We can take Jackson Smith and Jigba. Maybe he can make a second-year leap, be more fantasy viable than he was last year. We have everything we kind of need here. We've got a quarterback, we've got a tight end, we've got 3 running backs, we've got a whole bunch of wide receivers. So we can take best player on the board, and I'm going to take Brian Thomas Jr., the rookie in Jacksonville, real elite upside if he hits in a meaningful way. Chuba Hubbard, don't mind taking him here, just in case Devin Singletary or Tajay Spears don't have great roles early on. He should have a good role whilst Jonathan Brooks gets healthy. In the 12th round, let's take a shot for pure upside and go Brock Bowers. Maybe it's a slow start for him, but if he hits in a good way, we can trade one of Sam Laporta or Brock Bowers as the season goes on. At running back, let's take Braylon Allen and really give ourselves some contingent upside in case anything happens to Breece Hall. Braylon Allen looks incredible, and drafting out of a 108, that gives us leverage on the team who drafted Breece Hall. In the 14th round, you see the defensive run start to happen. We're going to need to take a defense here, but looking at kicker, Justin Tucker, my guy Justin Tucker, how can I turn that down? And then to round things out, we'll go with the Chicago Bears defense that really came on down the stretch last year. We got an A-, 92 out of 100. How have you been getting on in these mock drafts? Do as many as you want. You will get so many good grades, so many insights. Pat Fitzmaurice gave me 86 out of 100. Derek Brown, 85 out of 100. Joe Pisapia, 77. Andrew Erickson, 74. You can see, though, the mock draft wizard loved my selection of Brock Bowers. We got him in the 12th round, 2 rounds later than he's ranked. But it does say that if we drafted Amari Cooper at the 508 and drafted a QB later, your score would have been 33 points higher. So maybe it would have paid to have done that differently. That's the beauty of the mock draft wizard. We can quickly simulate all these. Let me know what you would have done differently. Leave a comment, leave a question. We answer every single comment and question on this channel. Hit the subscribe button. We've got so much stuff on this channel to help you win big in 2024.